The third round of the 2022 fall season for the WDCR SCCA Virtual Racing League takes the field to the southeast, to Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta. The twists and turns carved through the red Georgian soil, a perfect playground for a multi-class 30-minute race. Welcome aboard to the third round of the fall season for the Washington, D.C. region SCCA Virtual Racing League. My name is Kyle Heyer, joined tonight by Finney DeCuna. Finney, welcome aboard. Tonight we go racing at the 2.5-mile, 11-12 turn road course here in Braselton, Georgia. Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta.
Yeah, no, really really excited to see these guys come down to Road Atlanta. This track happens to put on some of the best road course racing action you can see anywhere on iRacing. It just works well in pretty much any car you can throw around this track. And we saw it too at last week. VR was a little bit tricky in some places to pass because the track is fairly narrow, and it's also very likely that you will go off the track and make a mistake. Here, not so much the case. Plenty of places you can make a pass, and also plenty of room on the racetrack itself. So I think we're going to see a lot of hard racing side-to-side action here.
Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta, constructed back in 1970. It's seen some changes, notably down here at turn 10A. There used to be a drop right here down to where the tunnel level is below. They call that the gravity cavity. I think that was one of the best names for any part of a racetrack ever named by anybody. Then you climb up to the top of the hill at turn number 11 and climb down through turn number 12 and sail back onto the front straightaway. It is a fast, dynamic lap around here at Road Atlanta. And it is a great day for racing virtually here. Air temp 69, track temp 76, qualifying underway. Some notable names back here this week. DJ Alessandrini, who won last week, is back in the MX5 category in GMX5 with the NC Generation Miata. And we've got about 10 Ford FR500 Mustangs, notably Tom O'Gorman in the number 94, multi-time SCCA National Autocross champ. Right now on provisional pole at a 1:31.874. He's back ahead of Chris Lapras, Kyle Herbst, Jake King, Paul Darling, Kyle Sadiq, Mike Leader, and more. So it is a stacked field in both categories, and in the MX5s especially. 31 cars competing in that second class, Finney.
I think it's an absolute travesty that they got rid of that name, the gravity cavity. They should have just kept that.
It still isn't wrong, right? Like the
yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It fits because the track still dips down. Obviously, it doesn't have a giant dip there where it used to be, where the tunnel is. But it's still, the track comes down. That's like the lowest point in that section of track. Then comes and go back up a hill. So still, you can call it a gravity cavity.
Yeah, look something like that. And instead of doing this S-bend, it kind of S-ed like that. A little bit shallower, really unique corner, and for various safety reasons, that corner is no longer around after some edits to the racetrack before the turn of the century. And Christopher Lapras beats Tom O'Gorman by 42 thousandths of a second. Alessandrini is on top of Morgan Burkhardt in GMX5. Jack Chrissy runs fourth, though. He heads down the back straightaway. This is one of the longest road course straightaways in North America, and even in an MX5 heading uphill for a little bit, you're still north of 115, 120 miles an hour before you dive down the hill into turn 10A.
Yeah, you can only imagine how much faster these guys are going to be going with the slipstream, and that's going to be a big factor heading down into turn 10. Probably one of the best places to make a pass happen is going to be down in that corner. It's going to be pretty much the action corner around here. Jack Chrissy coming around, complete qualifying. No, he's going to come into to pit lane.
One pit lane entry here, fast and weaving. Now this race is only 30 minutes long, and we saw last week how hectic things can get with only a 30-minute race, especially with lap traffic. Things got spicy up towards the front in the Ford FR500 category. Speaking of, Paul Darling to the top of the board at a 1:31.783. That will put him on provisional pole in the Mustang category. And I think the last opportunity someone will have to go to the top. Everyone else has already used up their laps. Mustangs, talk about high speed here. 130, maybe 135, 136 before downshifting. Both these cars feature H-pattern manual transmission gearboxes. You're shifting the old-fashioned way, grabbing a whole bunch of clutch, throttling up, heel toe, downshifting, the whole shebang. And pretty fun to drive both of these cars. I thoroughly enjoy these cars, and actually I think they're a really good match in terms of the classing. But certainly they don't make speed all that differently. Well, I guess they make speed differently, but their corner speeds aren't all that different. Mustang's got a whole lot more power, but the MX-5, a lot better handling. We saw that be a factor a lot last week at VIR. Saw some tangling at the front of the FR500 field towards the end.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, these cars are very similar, almost scarily so. I mean, the Mustang, honestly, really in the way they drive and the way they race, the Mustang's just obviously a bit heavier, has a little bit more grip, not a ton, but also a lot more power than the Miata. That's where you see the biggest difference down the straight. You see 14 coming flying through the section, turn 10.
Watch this 10B right here. Grabs a bunch of curb on the right, slings the car back. It's airborne once, twice, thrice as he bounces over the curbing there. Dynamic car, dynamic track. Look at how much the car leans. MX-5s typically have a lot of body roll. Of course, they're on race suspension here, but they still have a lot of pitch and roll, and it makes these things a lot of fun, and they have tons of mechanical grip. They like to be thrown around. The Mustang, same story there. Not a lot of aero, but about 1,000 pounds heavier, 3,600 pounds in that Ford FR500 as opposed to about 2,400 for these MX-5s. And Heideset getting a bunch of curb through 5. Ryan Christoph joins us again. He's run the SCCA runoffs a handful of times in a 1984, 83 Honda CRX. Maybe it's an 86. One of those 1980s CRXs. He heads down towards turn number 6, a unique turn combination. You've got 6 and 7 that are a little bit different than each other, but follow each other right up, and then you're setting up for this exit to lead you onto the back straightaway, and this is where all your slipstream is going to happen. But like we noted last week at VIR, the slipstream is not really as significant as you'd think in this NC generation MX-5 versus the ND generation that is used a little bit more now in iRacing. You don't get that massive draft, at least not as much, so you can't really plan on sitting behind someone the entire race. You got to be a little bit racier than that.
Yeah, and really what that means, because you're getting, you don't have that much draft to work with, it means that prior to getting on the straightaway, you really need to prioritize how much your exit speed is, make sure you can come out with the high exit speed so that we can build up a run down the straightaway to help you out. As we see 46 come up and over the hill. He's actually done with qualifying on lap. He's finished his 4 time laps. He's kind of running out there for extra practice.
Christoph comes across the line in 21st place. And not a lot of other takers here in qualifying. 41 cars across the field, and I mentioned that 31 of those are, or excuse me, the 2010 era Mazda MX-5. The other 10 are the Ford FR500 Mustang. Darling, O'Gorman, Jake King, Tala Sadiq, and Andrew Wozencroft are the inside lane starters. Lapras, Herbst, Orhart, Mike Leader, others. Travis Strussel did not get a fast enough qualifying lap to put him with the rest of the Mustangs, but he is 10th in class and should be gridded up with that class when we take the green flag here in a couple of minutes. Yeah, hopefully.
For his sake. I can't imagine trying to start a race and you're 30 cars behind your next competitor. That would be a really rough start, especially considering we only have 30 minutes, and that's I guess another big talking point. Don't have a whole lot of time really to mess around. 30 minutes, that's very short. It's technically a sprint race for most of these guys.
Yeah, I mean, it is a sprint race by every stretch of the word, and again, this racetrack is long, and you've got passing opportunities, but there's also some areas, you know, I'm not going to mention them, but I think you know what they are. Places where you can't really make passes, but people are going to try. So
you can make a pass.
Yeah, down these S's. This is in many ways, I think, has a lot of similarities to Watkins Glen. I think the track just kind of runs in reverse where you're going down the S's rather than up. But there are just some places where side-by-side is not easy or comfortable, and then some other places that are fantastic passing opportunities down at 10A, 10B, and even at turn 3. Get up alongside someone in turn 2, and then as you head up into this right-hander where that curb is, you can jump that curb, use a little extra track width, and squeeze on through. But it takes a pretty aggressive driver to get things done there. Look at Christoph ripping turn 3, trying to carry some speed through there.
Yeah, really hauling through there. In turn 3, you can see a lot of drivers make a mistake. I feel like for the Mazdas might not be too much. I think the Mustangs, it might be, some guys might have it trickier because the car is so much heavier. The weight transfer, getting the car to change direction rapidly. You could see some guys make more mistakes in that class heading into the S's, but we'll have to see come race time. And then obviously turn 6, turn 7 here coming up. Going to be very important for these cars. Like I said, getting the exit onto the straightaway. It's a very big thing you want to try to prioritize, because if you don't get a good exit, you can find yourself, especially because we expect all these cars to be pretty much running in trains together, you could lose a lot of spots if you don't get a good exit.
Going to look down at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta here in Brazelton, Georgia. You're watching Sim TV. I'm Kyle Heyer, joined by Finney Nakuna. This is round number 3 of the 2022 Fall WDCR SCCA Virtual Racing League, and it's time to head down to the racetrack and roll through our starting grid. It is a big one, so we'll get started here shortly. And kicking things off on row number 1, it's going to be Paul Darling in the number 155. He's going to be joined by Christopher Lapras in the 04. Those are your front row starters in the Ford FR500s.
And moving in behind them, it's going to be Jake King Tom McCormick sitting in 3rd place in the 94. Next to him, Kyle Hurst in the 89, running in 4th.
Starting in 5th, it's Jake King in the number 39. Matthew Morhart starts 6th in the number 21.
Back in behind them, Talassi going to be lined up in 36 and 7th place. Mike Leader next to him in 8th in 53.
Rounding out the 5th row overall is Andrew Wozencroft in 9th in the number 80. DJ Alessandrini was going to start in 10th overall, 1st in class. Travis Trussell, by the way, has not yet gridded, and I think he is gridded all the way at the tail of the field, so that is going to be a long, long race, even though it's only 30 minutes.
Ooh, I really could have sworn that they did grid it by class. That's just very unfortunate. Morgan Burhart's going to be lined up in 2nd place, fiddling in the number 2 car. Giancarlo Schooler going to be running up in the 111 car in 3rd.
4th place will be Jack Christie in the number 32. Sam Scott rolls off 5th in the number 98.
Back behind them, Andrew Blotto will be lined up 6th in class. Next to him, Caleb Petrie in the 998.
Starting behind them, it's going to be Ryan Maloney, the number 65. Rob Casera starts in 9th in the number 77.
Jameson Huffman going to line up in 10th place. Next to him, 56, Peter Lauzon in 11th.
12th place is John Schwartz in the number 10. Francois Bruce starts 13th in the number 69.
Back behind them, Kevin Zugin lined up in 14th place, and 15th next to him, Francis Castillo Romero in the 40 car.
Will Robbins starts in 16th in the number 35. Bob Casera starts 17th in the number 4.
Hydrosec going to be lined up in the 14 car in 18th. Andrew Chen lined up next to him in the 29 in 19th.
20th place is Adam Kovac in the number 85. He'll roll off alongside Ryan Kristoff in the 46 and 21st.
Back behind them, 22nd, Robert Porter going to be in the 136. Louis Leslie in the 43 and line up in 23rd.
I just had a panic. I went to the turn 1 camera and I didn't see the pace car, and I thought they had just started, and I freaked out. I was like, did I miss the green flag? No, we didn't. The Ross Barzingi starts in 24th in the 41, and Donald Louie in the 24 car starts in 25th. Now, Donald was on the race-winning team at Gridlife's first ever endurance race. That was exciting. That was a couple of weeks ago. And now, Jermaine Major starts 26th. Greg Ginsburg starts 27th in the number 72, Finney.
Yeah, back in behind them, Ryan Dunham going to be lined up in the 6th car in 28th. Eddie
Katarakis.
So that's a cool name. Ryan up in 13 car.
Chris Pete starts in 30th. Adam Miller starts 31st in the number 37.
And last but certainly not least, Travis Trussell has a long day ahead of him. 10th in class, 41st overall. He's got a long day before he can catch up to his fellow Mustangs, because not only does he have the class separation to deal with, but also the fact that they're going to be separate starts, so there's already a gap between the two fields.
Yep, the MX-5s will start their own green flag. The Ford FR500s will go at a different time. Now, it's interesting to note the 1/3 size field in the FR500 versus the MX-5. A little bit surprised at that, to be honest. This FR500 drives, I think, really good now after an update a couple of builds ago. It's a pretty fun car, but I think the MX-5, everyone looks forward to that close competition and the big car counts that running basically spec MX-5s. That is what comes with that.
I'm trying to remember the last time I actually drove the Mustang. I think it's got to be at least a year. Was it the pace car?
Yep, he's blinking. Pace car's blinking. Got a bad internet connection.
You know it's going to be an issue when the pace car is having internet issues, so good.
All right, so Paul Darling is on pole of the 155. Christopher Lapras is going to start alongside him in that 04. That's that Roush Mustang, the yellow and teal. And up over the crest at turn number 11. We're going to see the green flag this time through when they get down through turn number 12. There's the green flag in hand of the starter, and he will be waving it. We are green, and we are racing in the WDCR SCCA Virtual Racing League. Already the Mustangs, nice clean start. They single file out quickly. O'Borman to the inside of Lapras. Advantageous start here, but he will have to tuck in behind Kyle Herbst. Drops to 4th, Jake King behind him as the MX-5s take the green flag now down the hill.
Yeah, they get up to speed and already they're getting pretty much single file out. Not surprising considering the tight final turn. So most drivers just kind of getting themselves orderly as they head off into turn 1 for the first time.
Down the hill for the first time, the Mustangs. Paul Darling using all the curb on the left in the downhill section, and then into 5. Fast left-hander. You're going to use a lot of the curb. O'Gorman trails Christopher Lapras. Go back into the MX-5s. A little bit of side-by-side here. Look at John Schwartz. That's for 10th. Past Kevin Zhu in the 243. That's the purple and white car, and maybe some contact behind him, I hear.
Yeah, I'm not too surprised. Turn 3, it's very tricky, especially on the race start. Everyone's so close together, you can end up elbowing out some drivers just trying to make up a spot here or there. Ooh, I see one driver really getting elbows up. Bob Kucera side by side with Will Robbins was up on the sand trap off of turn 5, going to try to make a move to the inside of 35.
Turn 6 and 7. There's the 14 of Wojtek Idasek right in the mix, and for the lead of Mustangs, here comes Lapras to driver's right on the brakes on the outside. Out brakes Paul Darling, and fully alongside here through 10B. Can he squeeze ahead? Here comes O'Gorman.
Yeah,
Rewind. Oh, he's going to turn him. No, back across the racetrack goes Lapras.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate for Lapras, who is trying to make the move there. O'Gorman trying to make it 3 wide coming up over the hill. Unfortunately, not enough room for those 3 race cars.
Yeah, that 3 wide at the top of the hill, that's tough to hang on to. We go back, so O'Gorman slots himself into 2nd. Kyle Herbst trying to take that spot back. Mike Leader, the tail end of the Mustangs, got really spiced up because of that. A little bit of side-by-side here into turn 3 as we go back to the MX-5s. Alessandrini leads, Burkhardt 2nd. Now Maloney trying to grab the 96, or excuse me, the 65's place. No, the 96 is the car I'm looking at. Up the road.
Burkhardt doing a really good job putting pressure on the back of DJ Alessandrini as they head into turn 3, not letting up any room. They just completely stalking the back end of that number 61. He has 2 different numbers for some reason.
Down the hill now. Maloney, no, that's Pilata all over the back of Sam Scott here. This is for 5th place. And see the front 4 starting a little bit of breakaway. Look at the slide from the 98. He's going to go way out to the wall at the exit of 5.
Someone want to tell Sam that there's no rallycross configuration at Road Atlanta. There is the Atlanta Motor Speedway.
He just founded the rallycross configuration right there, right now.
Yeah, I think he just got off of line early in S's, and that's the tricky thing. The S's is such a rhythm section. You have to nail every single corner. If you mess up one, you're going to mess up the next 2. And unfortunately, ended up with him running way wide in turn 5 and up and over the sand trap. Back to the leaders of Paul Darling, leading O'Gorman, Kyle Hearst. So O'Gorman now trying to set up and see if he can catch the 155.
It looks like that battle has fizzled for the moment. John Schwartz now defending from Jamison Huffman. That's that pizza-colored car, the 989. Kevin Zhu back here taking a look, and even deeper in the back of the shot, you see Kovac and Chow. They were side by side, but here's Zhu under fire from Huffman.
And down deep into turn 10 on the brakes they go.
Same story a little deeper. Kovac in the 85. That's the car on the right of your screen. Ooh, big dive from someone in the background. Is that Louis Alessi? No, it was Jermaine Major on Louis Alessi in the Queen Miata. And for second. Getting really exciting up here. 3 red Miatas battling for the top 3 spots. Alessandrini leads Burkhardt and Schooler behind.
Yeah, the entire top 4, they're all black and red of different shades. It's very hard to tell who's who at a glance. But all of them are running well. It's Alessandrini, Burkhardt, Schooler, and Chris here in top 4 in class. And then back to this battle, Darling, O'Gorman, Hearst. They're all trying to break away from the rest of the Mustangs. Jake King, Matthew Morhart trying to catch back up, but slowly trailing back. They're somewhat making some ground, but not a whole lot.
Yeah, slipstream in these cars is not incredibly significant, but it's going to help. Darling goes defensive to the left. Gorman the nose to the right. And for now, he seems content to kind of follow Paul Darling. These two have competed with each other many times. Ooh, a little contact there from Herbst, and he knocks the 94 out of the way. A little nose-to-tail contact there. Getting physical up here tonight.
Yep, elbows out racing, a little bit of a bump and run. You typically see that at a short track, but not typically at a road course, but you saw it right there.
Well, the front 2 MX-5s have pulled away. That's Burkhardt and Alessandrini. Now it's Jack Christie and Giancarlo Schooler.
Yeah, the top 2, they're actually bump drafting down the back straightaway, trying to break away, and it's working out pretty well. Christine Schooler, as you mentioned, even behind, trying to follow to Andrew Pilata has managed to kind of slowly work his way back up into that top 5, or get closer to top 4 after they split away. As you see pizza colored car, Jamison Huffman work his way around Peter Lauzon. It's battle for 12th place.
So the FR500's using NASCAR short track techniques and the MX-5's using NASCAR super speedway techniques. There's your difference. Good battles all the way through here in the field, but again, this generation MX-5 is not quite as drafty, and it means you got natural speed up here towards the front. Alessandrini getting really aggressive over the curbs at the top of the hill. You can cut that. It'll give you a penalty if you cut it too much, but DJ knows where that line is, and so does Morgan Burkhardt. And what a standout effort the last season and a half that we've seen Morgan. He has been hounding guys like DJ and the other competitors that are this time in the FR500 class. Morgan has really shown to be incredibly competitive no matter what he climbs in, and is putting the sweat on the foreheads of a lot more experienced competitors. But couldn't find a gear there through turn 6, struggled a little bit.
Yeah, and we've seen even drivers blow engines just struggling to find a gear. He did really well last week at VAR. He finished 8th, which might not seem good, but when you consider the fact he started dead last, did a fantastic job working his way through almost 30 MX-5s last week to get up into that 8th position. So he did a really good job working his way through. Now the chance of actually getting the win. This race, you see O'Gorman and Herbst going side by side into turn number 3.
I was talking about, they're going to touch again, and bye-bye Herbst. This is going to hurt if he can't save it. And he will get back on the road and back on the racetrack. But it has been absolutely nip and tuck here. And have a look at this. Going off into turn 3. Kyle just kind of turns in there. I mean, I don't think that was completely on Tom by any stretch. But they just came together at a point that converges, and they've traded blows a couple of times.
Yeah, it also didn't help. It looked like Gorman was turning to the left a little bit, got on the brakes and made the car step a little bit even more to the left. So definitely, I definitely don't agree with you, though. I don't think it's really much of Tom's fault in that situation, but it's 2 cars he's been involved with.
I bet you they're both mad right now.
Yeah, probably. Probably.
Here's Rob Casera. He's had his front bumper and the rear bumper of someone else. See the damage on the nose of that car. His story tonight, started 18th overall. He's dropped 2 spots in the overall running. Runs 11th in class right now behind Kevin Zhu.
Ryan Maloney got a significant amount of damage to the back end of his car, running in 8th overall.
Ooh, look at this Pilata on the inside of Schooler down at turn 6. That was an opportunistic dive. Gonna try the same thing again at 7. Schooler turns in a little early, but rolls some good speed through the exit, drops a tire in the dirt though, and squirms around, trying to put power to the ground.
Surprised he didn't wait for the straightaway to make the move. Oh, almost doors into him. Now we're starting to see these guys side draft too. They're really bringing out the super speedway.
Oh, that ain't gonna work. Schooler drops the tires actually in the grass that time. And good tuck in behind Pilata, but stays far left.
Yeah, I think he's going to try to see if he can outbrake. I don't think it's going to be enough. Sam Scott using the slipstream to his advantage, though, is going to blow on past Schooler heading into turn 10. We'll get the pass done.
And trouble for Rob Casera. He's back in the pits. We documented the damage that he had a little earlier. See what happened to him this time. Just kind of rolled to a stop. Like he will bail out for now. And in the front, in MX-5s, Burkhardt pushing Alessandrini into turn 1. This is a great fight, and they've separated themselves. He's top 3. I know there's still 20 minutes to go, but they have the ability to kind of race each other a little bit without immediately losing spots. So Morgan has to worry about Jack, but behind Jack Chrissy, there's really no one within 2 seconds that they really have to be concerned about.
Yeah, I'm pretty surprised. I mean, I guess I shouldn't be too surprised after we saw that scrap for 4th place, the thing that allowed the leaders to get separated on out. Now it's a matter of can Pilata, Scott, Schooler, Petrie, Maloney, can all of them try to work together to catch back to the leaders who are slowly breaking away. You can see them in that group of 5 just in behind.
Well, we had 41 cars start this race, and only one of them is out. It was an elective pull-off, and as I say that, around goes Eddie Keterakis at the top of the hill and gets slammed from Ryan Dunham and back into the concrete, and that car is torn up. Well, that's commentator curse. About to say we hadn't crashed anybody yet, but...
Yeah, this is a long one. It started right there off of turn 3, got loose, trying to save it, almost saved it. Oh, got turned around sideways by the 7, and then still trying to save it, and then back in front of Dunham, gets absolutely destroyed in the rear end.
I realize my mic was muted. I apologize for that on the live stream since I sneezed a little while ago. Travis Trussell, by the way, spun out. Oh, he didn't spin. Oh, with contact and damage behind him. That's what I was talking about. I saw cars spinning and attributed to Trussell. I had my brain a little tangled up there for a second, so I'm sorry about that. Ooh, contact from behind. Oh!
Yeah, I was wondering how the Martini car got involved. It's Francois Brew in the 69. I was trying to see if he could make his way on through that spin. Unfortunately, didn't play out for him.
Back up in the FR500s, under 20 minutes to go. Darling leads. O'Gorman is reeling him in. That last time by 0.4 of a second was the gain from O'Gorman to Darling, so that battle is not over yet. Giancarlo Schooler is having some internet connectivity problems as battles inside the top 10.
Have you noticed how many people have had internet issues across the different lanes we do? It's a lot of people.
A lot, yep. It's probably Comcast's fault.
It's got to be something bigger, right? Because every single race for like the last week or two, we've been seeing people with internet issues. I've been having internet issues.
I had internet issues. I mean, that's not.
You've always had internet issues.
Soon I'm going to have that fixed. Look at this battle behind them. This is Kevin Zhu and Huffman. These two have been battling door to door. They've got Trussell in behind him in the FR500, trying to grab overall spots. And here's John Schwartz coming into the mix in the number 10. That's the Red Bull car.
And Zhu, one of the biggest movers in the MX-5 category, trying to make it. He's gained 4 positions, trying to gain a 5th one. If he can get past Huffman, he's going to be tight to the Apex in 10, and Huffman going to have advantage. Here comes the Red Bull car now, and John Schwartz trying to take advantage. He's going to throw his hat to the ring.
Good battle here. Now the 10's got the inside through turn 12. If you carry some speed here, if you're Zhu, you can hang on to this line, but Speedy carries down the front straightaway. But now what do you do? Your next corner's a right-hander, and you've got Trussell behind, and then FR500.
I was going to say, I have a Mustang that's probably going to try to work his way past. It seems like Trussell's been pretty patient. I think he's trying to sneak his way on through without causing too much commotion. So,
yeah, not much for him to gain. He's not going to catch anyone else from the FR500s unless they crash, so no real concern. Back up to Mustangs, though. Now Darling and O'Gorman have basically singled themselves out, and they've got traffic on the horizon. So as we approach halfway, look at the different lines there. O'Gorman a little tighter, Darling a little wider, but both at the pointy end of the field.
Yep, you can see right just ahead here come the lap cars as the Mustangs have caught the tail end of the auto field, so now they got some lap traffic to work through. And depending on where they catch them, it could be disastrous, especially if you catch someone in the S's. Like we mentioned in the pre-race, you're not going to get by someone in the S's regardless of if there's a class difference. But after that, it becomes a little bit easier. Turn 6 and 7 can be tricky because it's a braking zone and cars are going to be going pretty slow on there. You see them getting through the 38. That is Chris Pete running 32nd and Jermaine Major with 31.
O'Gorman just followed Darling right through, so they'll carry on and continue without any major dramas there. Jake King and Matthew Morehart, they've had a really good battle for the last step on the podium in the FR500s, and they're just hoping that the front two scrap a little bit more. Update on Lapras, who had that contact early in the race. He's down in 8th overall, but running lap times that were the fastest in the FR500 field by a couple hundredths of a second last time by, so certainly hasn't lost any pace. And look at this mess. This is Sam Scott, Caleb Patry, and Ryan Maloney. This is all a battle for 6th place.
All nose to tail through this section they go. And in general, they haven't all really gotten that much closer to the overall leaders. I think they've been busy behind themselves. They go flying off the track. It seems like they've just kind of been forgetting about track limits. That being said, though, there is a incident penalty. If you get more than 14 incidents, you're going to have to come through for a drive-through.
Yeah, it's not that hard to get them here, incident points, I mean, because of the chicane at turn 10A, 10B, but turn 5 is another place that in these slower cars that have more mechanical grip, you can really get away with a lot at the exit at turn 5, and you'll see some drivers try to take advantage of that. Look at the drivers splay out behind Jake King and Morehart, getting by the 43 car of Louis Alessi.
And they will successfully get on by. Really, there isn't a whole lot these guys can really do to try to catch back up. I think the best thing for them is just kind of get in line, slipstream, use a little bump draft, try to make up some time. I think really the best key for them is just kind of hope that the leaders catch lap traffic in a bad place, particularly the S's, and then they can kind of slow them up.
Morart's got a pretty big run here. We'll see if he does something with it. He's going to go to the left. King will drive over to defend. Now they head down towards 10A. So do the leaders, by the way, and O'Gorman's right there as they get into traffic. For now, King stomps on the brakes a little later than Moorhart and will hang on as Darling runs a little wide at the exit at 10B, and O'Gorman goes to the inside at 12, but has to sit on it for now.
Oh, and let's see. Oh,
whoa!
Man, that was almost a disaster. Darling stepping a wheel out of bounds, almost went flying into Gorman. Oh, Gorman because he got so sideways as they were working around a lap car. That could have been disastrous, and it still could be disastrous. They got four Miatas in front of them heading towards turn 3, and they're still side by side.
Yeah, Gorman going to try to use the lap traffic as a pick right now to get by Darling. This is the worst case scenario here, splitting traffic down the hill. O'Gorman squeezes to the inside as Paul jumps the curb. This is great stuff here. 14 minutes to go in a battle for the lead down the S's here at Road Atlanta. Darling, a little bit wide, car crashing in front of them. They bail, and here comes O'Gorman to the inside at turn 6.
Yeah, it was Ryan Kristoff that ended up crashing. The 46 was running around 18, 19 the class there, side by side into turn 6, heading towards turn 7. O'Gorman going to back out. I think he's going to try to see if he can get a better exit and use the slipstream.
Yeah, that was smart, though. He didn't use up his entry to the 7. He could have stuck the car down there, but he didn't. The better passing opportunities at 10A, 10B, so sit on it. Let Darling overdrive trying to defend and then come back at him here. He's going to open the track to the right. I like the right coming down the hill here because it sets you up for the 10B exit, which I think is the better one. Drag race to turn 10A. O'Gorman and Darling battle for the lead here in FR500s.
And side by side they go. Who's going to win this out, though? O'Gorman, if he can hang on, he's got the better line out of turn 10B. We'll get that run, but Darling's got the outside now as they go up and over. Down the hill they go. Can Darling try to get alongside of Gorman? No, Gorman finally sneaks his way on past. He will taste the lead. Yeah,
losing battle there for Darling, but he's still in the picture, and King and Moorhart have closed the gap too.
Yeah, I was going to say they lost about, the leaders lost about 1.5 seconds last lap between the lap traffic and just battling amongst themselves, so that allowed third and fourth place to catch back up. So they got to start looking in the mirrors a little bit more now.
Well, O'Gorman's got the lead in FR500s. Let's check back in on MX5. It's still the top three, Alessandrini, Burkhardt, and Jack Chrissy. They have not changed running order in quite some time. A little bit deeper in the field, though. That Ryan Maloney, Schooler, Patry, and Sam Scott battle is not yet done. They continue to scrap for positions in the bottom half of the top 10.
Yeah, looks like so calm down just a little bit across the field for the most part.
Ooh, this spot, a little bit of banging there. Was that the 136 that just muscled his way by? No, it was, yes it was. It was Robert Porter past Idasek, and he drops himself into 15th place overall, as we see Lapras kind of muscling his way by some traffic here.
Yeah, and Andrew Chow also in front of Porter, so running 14, 15, 16, as you mentioned there. Mustangs working their way on through.
Wart's under fire from Huffman. Kevin Zhu in the mix, and right behind him, the leaders in traffic again. Will O'Gorman get his run stunted here as they head down the hill? This is going to be 3 wide through turn 12. That isn't going to work. Darling might have to sit on this for a second. Now he takes him 3 wide.
Yeah, so it cost them just a little bit of time, but made sure that they all 3 of those cars made it on through, and Darling will clear the Miata before they get to turn 1, so he can continue to chase O'Gorman as Kevin Zhu is just able to get by John Swartz, and now John Swartz and Peter Lauzon in behind. They're fighting it out, close for 10th place.
That was most of the drivers that just went a lap down. There's still about 7 MX-5s left to go to complete the lapping of the entire field. They are going to get there, and it will get progressively more difficult. So, oh, look at this car slipping and sliding in the background. Let's see, was that Francis Castillo Romero? Yes, it was in the 40. He runs wide now, and that's a couple of the Mustangs squeeze past. That's Kyle Herbst on a recovery, and Matthew Moorhart in Mountain Dew car.
And still side by side through 6, now through 7 they go. Herbst fishing up 21. Oh, the 21 goes around. Does he save it? No, going to spin back in front of Miata. Just narrowly avoids getting clobbered. That's Matthew Moorhart. Round he goes.
Yeah, and this is why I think Tomo, he had the sense to back out at the pass at turn 7 because of that curve. There's not a lot to gain there. Here's Ryan Maloney. O'Gorman, look at him just getting by that 998 of Patry. Darling will follow him through, but that was a daring swing back to the right to get back on line for the braking zone. Everyone really they see the opportunity to use the MX-5s as rolling roadblocks, and they're fully using that opportunity.
Yeah, that's Christopher Lapras. We were just looking at there for a second. Up back into 5th place now. He's gone by Thomas City.
Patry for 5th as Maloney in that blue car right behind him, the Sparko car.
Yeah, these guys have been kind of going at it for a majority of this race. They got separated from the leaders and pretty much have been only able to fight amongst themselves. I'm surprised they haven't kept touch with Andrew Pilata. Pilata has actually managed to put away a decent gap. Wow, actually went flying almost into the wall, Pilata, in turn 5. Speaking of which, 96 is by himself. Has no impact really be in kind of no man's land.
Yeah, and again, I don't think this generation MX-5, at least the race car here in iRacing, it doesn't pack race all that great. You can make time on your own. We've seen a couple drivers manage to do that, including Pilata. Alessandrini, though, is trying to shake Morgan Burkhardt, and he can't do it. Morgan's in a good spot, but does he have... he's just biding his time right now. He's not going to try to pass DJ until later in this race, but to try to outsmart Alessandrini. Now remember, DJ Alessandrini participated in the Spec MX-5 Sim Racing Challenge that Winding Road Racing put on a couple of years ago. That's where this livery is from. Now, DJ won that competition in, I think, the 2019 season, and
yes,
he actually raced this real car here at this track in real life. So he's got plenty of experience here and knows how to get it done. And Morgan has not done all of those things, so this is going to be a bit of a challenge to figure out how to outsmart this guy with so much experience.
Yeah, I think really for Burger, it's a matter of when does he want to make a move. Does he want to be the guy leading to the last lap? Does he want to be the guy leading into turn 10? Or does he want to be the guy chasing? You know, let's consider Jack Chrissy. Actually, Jack Chrissy's kind of slowly falling out of this battle. What does he see right behind Tom O'Gorman, nearly getting by Chrissy?
Whoa, he's a little wide. He's just absolutely sending it right now.
Yeah, that was almost disastrous. He almost ended up taking out the number 32. Narrowly found a gap.
Oof. Squeezed through, jumped on the brakes for a second, and got heavy drivers left on the curbing, but passed through. Now is behind the 2-car, Morgan Burkhardt. This is the last of the lead lap MX-5s that he has to dispatch, and he will do it on a straightaway. Paul Darling is 6/10 back, not much he can do from back here.
Yeah, after that, not a whole lot of lap Miatas. If anything, they're most kind of scattered about by themselves. But he's finally through the heavy traffic. And a little bit of separation from Paul Darling, but not enough to shake the 155. So Gorman's still got to look at the mirrors.
Two groups of leaders running nose to tail right now into turn 10A, and behind them, Kyle Herbst and Jake King. Wrapping pretty aggressively back here for the last step on the podium. Running pretty quick laps, but not quick enough to stick with the leaders.
Yeah, and Herbst tried to just catch back up. It looked like for a second they were going to catch back up, but unfortunately ended up losing touch with the leaders again, and ends up 5 seconds back. So it's a little bit too late for them to potentially make a move unless something happens to O'Gorman and Darling, which is definitely possible considering they are battling pretty hard.
And nose to tail again. Paul has found a little bit of extra pace here. 6 minutes to go. It's going to be about 4 laps left next time by. But Paul losing some ground here in some of the flowing sections where O'Gorman manages to point the car so much better.
For the lead in MX-5, side by side, Alessandrini and Burkhardt into turn 6.
Morgan's not going to be able to make that stick. Look at the run he gets through the middle of turn 6, though, but he's going to have to sit on it. Here comes Herbst to the inside. Will it open the door enough for Burkhardt? No, he won't go for it.
Yeah, the reason that battle presented itself was because Alessandrini got a little bit too wide out of turn 5 and got a little bit sideways. That cost him momentum.
Side on pit lane. I think that was a penalty, Irving. Or many incidents.
He was a naughty boy. Got put in the timeout chair.
Darling, look at the run. He gets a little bit of counter steer there, but controlled counter steer. Now down the hill, following Tomo. Could be about 4 laps to go. Maybe 3. 5 minutes and 10 seconds remaining in this race. But again, Paul sitting on this, not trying to muscle his way by. You have to figure out a better place and a better time to get by O'Gorman.
He's mentioned you've got 4 laps to try to figure that out and see where he does. I mean, if you're in Darling's situation, do you want to be the man chasing? You want to be the man chasing.
I got to pass Tom? Not happening. I'd much rather be in front of him, make him do the work than me.
But that's saying that you're confident that you can keep Tom behind you.
I'm not confident I can pass him either, but I'd rather be in front of him just in case. It's not easy to pass Tom, I'll just say that.
No.
Ditto for Alessandrini and Burkhardt. Rather be in front of DJ because at least I mean I passed him at one point or at least out-qualified him. You don't teleport there magically.
I also just want to give an update. Other drivers that have gone drive-thrus, it looks like Andrew Chow, 29, he's got a drive-thru. Namely, Sam Scott got a drive-thru. He's running in 7th place prior to that, and now back in 13th time to serve that drive-thru.
4 minutes to go and passing more lap traffic. Darling creeps back over right behind Tom here, and this is a critical section of the racetrack to figure out and be better than Tom in, because this is where your pass will likely have to happen. But he doesn't get the drive up the hill that Tom does. 3 minutes and 40 seconds remaining.
Yeah, running out of time, running out of laps. Looking back, Huffman and John Swartz duking it out for 8th place. Mustang peeling off to the right-hand side. Whoa, 3 wide for a second.
More hard. I probably got spooked there as they went side by side.
That combination, man, Mountain Dew, Red Bull, and some pizza.
That's the heart attack on the racetrack right there.
Almost came colliding together.
Hot Wheels car behind, some entertainment for your sugar high. Exit at turn 5. Oh, Paul grabs some dirt. He's absolutely wringing the neck of this Ford FR500 Mustang. Now, these cars don't like to corner very much. As I mentioned, they're really heavy. They're stick axle. They don't like to change direction, but Paul is having to just beat it into submission here. Ooh, he's in the dirt again at the exit of 7, but he has to do something to keep Tomo in touch here.
Yeah, I'm curious if he is going to, potentially get physical with Tom. I don't think he will. We've seen Darling usually try to pass a clean way. I don't think I've ever really even seen him try to be dirty with another driver.
If you've ever met Paul in real life. Oh, here he goes. To the inside of Tomo at turn 10A. Big dive on the brakes, and Tom's going to let this one slide and set up the exit here. But did he leave too much? Coming to 2 laps to go this time through.
I think he feels confident he can try to get it back. But you were saying about me and Paul in real life?
If you've ever met Paul in real life, he wouldn't be aggressive with a non-working vending machine. He would just ask politely, "Hey, excuse me, put $1 in there and my chips aren't coming out." Nicest guy you'll ever meet, probably. But right now he's going to have to hold off Tom. 1 minute and 50 seconds to go. No changes in GMX5 at the moment. The battle for the lead is in the Mustangs. Paul now trying to set a gap here, but look at the gain Tom has through 5, and he's going to throttle right back up, drop the tires in the gravel. He's going to have a lap and a half left to get back by this 155 Satellite Racing Mustang.
Yeah, we're going to see where Tom is going to plan to make the move. If he's going to wait, if he's going to try to do it here. It takes a nice line through turn 6. Now, again, as you mentioned, that good run through turn 7. It's a decent apex. Not the best of runs, but a decent run off turn 7. Now running down towards turn 10. Will he make the move this time, or will he wait?
Well, Tom just learned that it takes a lap to make up for losing the lead down here at turn 10A, so he's not going to wait. Where does Paul place his car? Car placement here, do you go driver's left or driver's right? I say you give the guy the inside, let him have it. He's going to do it. Tom runs all the way to the left, but don't give him that driver's right. Turn 10B is such a critical corner. Tom's going to cross him up here. He's going to cross him up and have a run. He bumps the rear bumper of Darling as they come over the crest, come under the white flag this time.
And Darling pulled over to the right side, knowing that Tom would do that. Tom going for the apex through the final corner, side by side across the line.
Oh, this is a great battle here. Tom O'Gorman and Paul Darling into turn 1 on the last lap. Paul clears Tomo. And I like what he did there. I like that he decided to stay on driver's right. Give Tom the inside. It's a lot harder to complete that pass from driver's left into 10A. And Tom slips, doesn't quite clobber the curb the way that probably would have liked to close that gap here in the S's. He's 0.3 of a second back. Oh, Paul's a little wide.
Oh, that's going to kill his momentum through the S's. You see Tom immediately gaining that time back now, coming out of turn 5. Does he have enough run to even get it done before the straightaway?
No challenges still in GMX5. It's all up front here in the Ford FR500 Mustangs. Tom opens the door at turn 6. Paul turns in, carries a little too much speed though. He's going to be wide on the curb.
Very smart move by Tom. I think he's trying to make sure Darling compromised the run out of turn 7 so he can have a go himself.
And look what they've done now. Paul can't throw a block here. He's going to have to leave the lane open. He's going to give Tom the right. I think that was a mistake. If you give Tom the right, he's going to have the preferred line at the exit at 10B. Now it's a drag race. 350 horsepower thundering down the backstretch at Road Atlanta. 2 corners left.
If they go side by side for just a second, Darling peeling back in behind, surprisingly, into turn 10.
Yeah, that's not going to work, though. He's got to cross Tom up now and get the better run. Throttles down, he's loose, though. I don't know if he can do it. Checkered flag is waving. Darling is close, but he's not going to do it. Checkered flag, Tom O'Gorman muscles his way by, and Tom wins in the Ford FR500 Mustangs. Darling in second. Kyle Herbst comes home third. We jump back to the GMX5s. Alessandrini is stretched to second on Morgan Burkhardt. And he has led this thing from flag to flag.
Yeah, managed to do so as they had trouble with a lap car in the S's. Burkhardt got separated, hasn't been able to climb back.
Up over the hill for the final time, Alessandrini. 2 for 2 so far in the MX5 this season. He will come across the start-finish line and grab the checkered in MX5. Morgan Burkhardt, Jack Chrissy, your podium in GMX5. Andrew Pilata comes home 4th, and Patry the rest of your top 5. Good battles, though, all the way around. Still some coming to the line here. Sam Scott, after his hit penalty, now has Robert Porter behind him.
Oh, just a three-way battle to the line. Peter Lowson, Jameson Huffman, John Swartz. Beating and banging across the line, spinning across the line.
Oop. Can't park there, bud. Man, that was cool. Let's have a look at that, how that transpired coming down the hill.
Yeah, you're going to check to turn 10 also as well. They were battling all through that section.
Back a little farther here. Huffman was the one that kicked this off, I think.
Yeah, I heard there was a brake check at some point here.
Oh, I wonder if he stomped the brakes to try to, right there, try to prevent the crossover. Throttled up, and down the hill. Lowson won the battle. Got a little physical here towards the end.
Trying to see if he can get on by, couldn't quite do it, and then wrecked it across the line.
Wow, that was a wild one. Great racing, though. Fun combinations, I will say, and Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta never disappoints. Let's have a look at our race results. O'Gorman gets it done. Paul Darling second, Kyle Herbst, Jay King, Christopher Lapras here top 5. FR500 battle came down to 2 drivers, but there were more involved at the start. A little bit of pushing, shoving, slipping, and sliding. Lapras comes home in 5th. Mike Leader, Tyler Sadiq, Matthew Moorhart, Wozencroft, and Trussell round out the rest of the top 10 finish.
Yeah, really solid job. Congratulations, Trussell, finally getting cleared of the MX5s. It took him a while, but he was finally able to work his way on through. Alessandrini, Burkhardt, Chrissy, your top 3 there. Andrew Pilata, I'm sure he was probably a lonely man because he got separated from that second pack of MX5s and never found another person to race after that from the drop. Patry, Schooler, Maloney, and then we saw that great battle between Lowson, Schwartz, and Kevin Zhu.
Rest of the MX5 results here. Sam Scott rebounds from that penalty to finish in 12th in class. Then Robert Porter, Will Robbins, Adam Kovac, Louis Alessi, and more. And some trouble for some of these drivers. Heidesek, Christoph, Miller, Casera, and more. Go ahead, Finian.
Sorry, I just want to give an update. Saw Huffman, he came across the line in what should have been around 11th or 10th. He got demoted all the way down to 18th. I think had a penalty that he didn't serve.
That is a bummer.
So he finishes 18th in class.
Well, that'll happen sometimes. You'll get caught out for whatever reason. We do have our winner for our MX5 category. That was DJ Alessandro, and he won it by a second, but had to fend off Morgan Burkhardt for most of that race, DJ. It wasn't the most dynamic of battles up front, but flag to flag, led it again. Take us through your night.
Yeah, Morgan and I, we were working really well together, kind of made like a little bit of a pack of 3 at multiple points. We almost lost Jack, and then Jack always found his way to like fight back into that draft. And then it was like 2 laps to go or whatever. We started catching some lap traffic, and they didn't really seem to understand that there was a race behind him, and I took that as like it was a little cheeky, honestly. I feel a little guilty about it, but just I knew by just forcing that pass on that lapped car, that was going to give me the gap I needed to not be attacked on those that last lap.
Well, it's fun to watch, and we were talking a lot about how this generation, this NC generation MX-5, doesn't seem to race as close as the ND. It seems like it doesn't behave the same or similar in the draft. So does that kind of ease your mind a little bit, that kind of have more control over your destiny as a driver?
I think if Morgan wasn't shoving me, I think he could have had probably like a bumper in front of mine into 10A every time. So it would have at least been a fight. It's not like he would have driven by me. So I was ready for that fight on the last lap. Morgan was being really patient, and he was working, like I said, he was working really well with me. So that's why we were running such like a good pace together. But yeah, he was gearing up for that last lap pass, and that lapped car kind of took it away from him.
Well, it was a lot of fun to watch, DJ. Congratulations. We'll see you next week in the next one.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Hey, real quick, I just want to plug my podcast, Lizard Brain podcast. Just search it up. It's literally on everything. Me and Tom O'Gorman, it's our podcast together. So tune in, maybe laugh, maybe learn some things, maybe subscribe. I don't know, all those things. But yep, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Sure thing. I'm a podcast listener myself, DJ. So I'll be diving in the next one.
Heck yeah.
So you can't talk trash about me because I will hear it.
I'll keep that in mind.
All right, DJ, we'll see you next week.
All right, later.
All right, moving on now to Morgan Burkhardt, who finished in second in the MX-5 category. Morgan, you kept up with DJ all night long, but didn't quite have the legs to catch him there at the end. Take us through your fight and how these cars race up at the front.
Well, it was a lot of fun. It's a lot better than last week. I actually made qualifying this time, but I saw that he was just a little bit quicker on race pace, so kind of just let him do all the heavy lifting and draft me along, and I just stayed in there with him. You don't have to be like really fast to be able to stick with him. You just be 2-3 tenths a lap slower, and then you can get the long back straight. It'll just draft you right back up. So I was able to save a little bit of tire, save some incident points, that kind of thing. And then once we got to lapping a little bit of cars at the end, we caught them in an awkward place, and he was able to get around him a little bit better than I did. And then, yeah, he got away after that, and I didn't really have enough time to catch back up.
Regardless, it was still a really strong race, Morgan. One you should be proud of, a really strong night, and congratulations. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, we got our third place finisher in MX-5s as well. That was Jack Chrissy, who came home about 4 seconds back from Morgan Burkhardt. But, Jack, you were right up in the mix for most of that race. Take us through your perspective. How much more did you need to be up in second or first?
Yeah, I think I needed a little bit more pace. I was just trying to work with DJ, and Morgan was. I know Andrew has some pace, and didn't really want him to catch our drafts or get into the valves. I knew I think Andrew's a bit faster than me, so if he got into our draft, I knew I was kind of a sitting duck. So my whole goal of that race was to sit on there, push Morgan as much as possible, and try and push the group forward, just to kind of hang on and put myself into a podium spot.
Well, Jack, it was a hard-fought race. The third place, not a bad night at all. Podium step for you. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Moving on now to our third place finisher in the Mustangs. That was Kyle Herbst in the number 89. And started off a little bit dramatic. There was a couple bumps and bruises and pushes and shoves there, Kyle, but you fought back for a podium. Not in the mix for the win, but certainly had some good fights throughout the race. Take us through your night and what you saw at your windshield.
Yeah, well, I mean, the race started out well. I thought I was able to kind of tuck my nose behind Tom and Paul and let them kind of burn off the tires. At least that was the strategy, right? And then Tom had a little bobble into 10A. I kind of tapped him just a little bit unintentionally, and I had a run, and instead of checking up and trying to let him by, at that point I was going to, once he caught back up, give him away. But then, going into 3, I think Tom, I thought he was checking up. I checked my mirror, and then I went to turn in, and all of a sudden I stopped on 2 wheels. So after that, we had a lot of incident points already, so it was kind of just trying to manage that. And luckily enough, I was able to kind of crawl back, but it made for a tough race just by myself trying to make it back.
Well, fighting back up from the bottom. Still a good night. These Mustangs, though, I love how these cars drive and how these race. So take me through the battles that you had at the very beginning. You kind of slide this car around, it seems like, but as you mentioned, you can burn those tires off pretty quick.
Yeah, I mean, depending on how you set up your car, I mean, you can either have it real tight at the very beginning from the get-go, but once again, you'll have issues coming towards the end. Seems like Paul and Tom kind of had the same strategy as me. You set up the car to be really, really loose at the very beginning, and it gets, it kind of gets tricky with the brakes really cold. you can have an issue where you kind of tap the brakes too much and the wheel would almost grab because the brakes are so cold. So it's kind of almost managing the 2 laps of death, so to speak. And then once they warm up, it's just trying to not drive the nose off, essentially, is the name of the game. But, with Paul and Tom and everyone else at the very front, it's kind of impossible to do anyways. So it'll be an interesting season. I love how close we're racing so far.
Good fight to watch, Kyle. Congratulations on the podium. We'll see you next week.
All right, thanks, guys.
Paul Darling finished in second in this one, was leading with 2 laps to go, made the pass on Tom O'Paul, but couldn't quite hold him off. Take us through your battle up front. It got physical at times, but it was fun to watch. Take us through it.
Yeah, once again, first loser. It's a poor racecraft play on my part. I think Tom let me get it and was experimenting on that second to last lap, seeing where the draft would end up. So on the last lap, I was trying to see if he would stay close, like too close to me exiting 7, then maybe he wouldn't get as much of a slipstream and blow by me. And turns out he just blew by me anyway. So untested racecraft plans did not work out there, but I had a blast racing Tom there, and seemed like he burned his tires off a little bit at the end, and I was able to stay close, but just couldn't pull it off in the end.
It was a lot of fun to watch, Paul, and yeah, I think giving him the right lane there down the backstretch, that was the nail in the coffin there, I think. But either way, a really strong race for you. It was a lot of fun to watch, and we'll see you back next week.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys.
All right, we'll see you later. All right, Vinny, that's going to wrap up the interviews tonight. No Tom Oaf tonight, so that's it, though. We did it, we showed it, and it was a blast to watch. Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta always puts on a good race, Finian, and tonight was no exception. Great battles all throughout the field. Tomo and Alessandrini get their jobs done respectively in their own categories.
Yeah, fantastic racing from everyone around. It's really hard racing, as we kind of figured was going to be the case, just the way this track is, nice and wide. Even though it is pretty wide in some places, guys are still making it even wider, going flying off into the dirt. But some great hard racing all around.
Certainly, it was a fun one to watch. Next week, what do we got on our calendar for this place next week? We got Rudskogen, or whatever they call it, next week. A new track in the iRacing service. November 2nd will be our 4th round of the season. We'll see you there. I'm Kyle Heyer with Finian DeCuna. Have a great night. We'll see you next Wednesday.